You know what time it
Time to
is.
stand up and speak your mind. In this elitist jungle, keep the beats alive. Whether yoga or doja that keeps you high. Gotta stay up, cause on the street you die. Time to wake up and see the light. Stop counting sheep, seize your life. Free your eyes and see suns rise on the horizon. Where the street meets the sky. The master's ignorance feeds our master's greed.
Good morning. It's Monday morning. It's about 0600. Yeah, man, the birds are chirping. Sun's coming up. It's beautiful. I love Mondays. You don't? Might want to shift your perspective a little bit there. Mondays are a new beginning. Every morning's a new beginning. But Mondays especially. Get to go back to work today, make that coin, get to jump on this podcast and share with you guys. So let's see. Discipline. What time did you get up this morning? I got up at 0400. Almost reset that alarm. Almost did it. Whew. I said, hell no. Hell to the no, no, no. Got my ass up. Went to the gym. Hit the gym for an hour. Got myself back home. Hit those knees. Hit that journal. Busted out a pot of mud. Got the coffee going. My ex's dad, he's a Navy vet, and he used to give me shit because I like the cream in my coffee. What kind of sailor are you? Put cream in your coffee. Fucking sailor? What the fuck? Anyway, let's check it out. So we were talking about journaling a little bit on the last podcast. I kind of wanted to just continue that. So I hit my journal this morning for sure. Hopefully maybe a couple of you decided to break out a journal and get in there yourselves and see what you could find in this path and see what you could find down this road. And so I kind of wanted to break out my stack. I got a stack of journals over here. And I realized that, it's kind of funny because I had mentioned that I'd been journaling for a couple of years, and really the last 6 months I really got into really focusing on journaling every day with some purpose, and the purpose was finding out who I am, who is the Berg, and finding out who I want to be and how do I get there. I got a great quote from Brene Brown here in my journal that I wrote down, and I think it's great. It's from her new book. Oh, shit. I better find that book. But she's got a new book. I like Brene Brown. I've listened to several of her books, and I really like what she has to say. She has a lot of talk about shame and how we feel shame. And Brene Brown, she's really good. I find it's a nice balance sometimes. I listen to Jocko. Jocko's this Navy SEAL, and he's kind of gung-ho, if you will. He's a humble man, but he's a man. He's masculine, And I also like to check out Brene Brown because Brene Brown has a softer approach, But Brene Brown, she's from Texas, and so she grew up in that Texas environment that, it's fucking Texas, dude. Texas is tough, dude. Texas is hard. So she grew up in that environment, so she understands that as well, but she kind of brings a softer side. And Brene Brown, she did start out her deal wanting to help women figure themselves out and help them, but she realized through the course of that she could probably help some men as well. And so I it's a good balance. I find it to be a good balance when you're trying to figure out who you are, what you do, why you do the things you do. Find some balance, find some masculine energy, find some feminine energy, the hard and the soft. We all have it in us. We all have this need to be strong, right? And we all have this need to be compassionate. Think about with children, the strongest man alive loves his baby girl. I love my baby girl. She's a little precious thing, and trying to find that balance and and not be too tough. I want to teach her to be strong, but I also want to love her and nurture her. So these are good qualities to have. And I wanted to dive into a little bit of that. But anyway, this quote from Brene Brown. And I find this quote to be really something that really fits. Where am I? How did I get here from there? And how do I get there from here? Woo! That's good shit, man. So I wrote that in my journal. It's in my journals, I found what I do the first couple of pages. I write down my morning prayers. These are the morning prayers that I go through every day when I get on my knees and I humble myself, right? And just after the prayers, I wrote this down. Where am I? How did I get here from there? And how do I get there from here? Take a moment to take that in. It's pretty powerful. If you think about it, and so that's why I decided to get into this journaling, so I could figure these things out and answer these questions for myself. Who am I, and who do I want to be? Anyway, I broke out my journals because I wanted to touch base with some of the things that we've talked about, that I've talked about, and I wanted to look back in some of these journals and review. We talked about values, and so I thought, you know what, let me get in here, let me find the page on my values, and let's talk about values. And so I went in and grabbed my stack of journals, and I realized that I've been journaling for a long time. Now, some of these journals are artistic journals, right? I mentioned, perhaps I mentioned before, or if I didn't, I'm a lover of hip hop. I love hip hop. And a few years ago, I had a great opportunity to build a recording studio in a garage in Long Beach, California. And I got to produce, and also I got to produce a hip hop album with some good buddies of mine in this studio, record and produce, and actually got to write some raps, and I got to feature on a song with them, and I got to get on stage and do the rapper thing. And you know what? It's like a dream come true for me, really, honestly. Because I love hip hop, and I always kind of wanted to do something like that, and I got the opportunity. I learned a tremendous amount from these guys and spending time with them, and just got to develop, and I've kind of always been a poet, and that makes me think, actually, I have some old poetry journals that from years back. So I've been journaling for a long time, just not with any real, well, that's not true, because this journal that I have here is my hip hop journal. It's my poetry journal. It's my creative journal. So that's a journal, right? We don't think of it like that perhaps all the time. It's not a specific journal like these journals with, these other journals I have are specific to my emotional, behavioral, spiritual, intellectual growth, right? And this other journal is a creative journal, but it's still a journal, right? And I thought, wow, I've been journaling for a long time. And quite frankly, if you go back and read your poetry, you might glean some information off of from some of that, because your poetry is based off of how you're feeling at the time. Anyway, I thought that was cool. I thought I'd bring that up. I've been journaling for a lot longer than I actually realized. But values. Let's see if I can find it here. And is that it? I put some tabs in these journals as I go back. And here are my values. I found them. Put those little sticky tabs. They got the little color sticky tabs, and I wrote values on it because as I review my journals, I like to go back. So let's go through some of my values. I listed them: discipline, personal responsibility, honesty, spirituality, personal growth, duty and service, honor, willingness, openness, creativity, self-awareness, self-improvement, sacrifice, family, courage, commitment, integrity, selflessness, communication, gratitude, compromise, boundaries, humility, and respect. That's a list, right? And then on another page, I did some groupings. And in these groupings, what I did was I kind of broke down some of these other ones. So I took personal responsibility and I wrote it on the side, and I put a little grouping in personal responsibility, right? Personal responsibility is a value, right? But what makes up personal responsibility? What values make up that value? Honesty, integrity, and discipline. I wrote down duty/service. Okay, what makes up duty service? Honor, courage, commitment. And those are actually the core values from the Navy. And I follow those, right? Personal growth and self-improvement. What makes up personal growth and self-improvement? Spirituality, openness, willingness, awareness. And then here I put family and relationship values. Honesty, willingness, communication, personal responsibility, awareness, commitment, gratitude, sacrifice. So these are some values. On another page here, I think I've got several pages here of values. So I did another relationship values on another page, kind of changed it up. There's vulnerability in there, boundaries, self-awareness, right? So these are some values to live by. I thought about, as we were talking about some things, and as these podcasts go, as I figure out how I'm going to put these podcasts together, I may jump around a little bit at first, and we will find a flow. I'll find a flow, and then they will connect. In a previous recording, which I have not released yet, don't know if I want, I'm probably going to release them all, but I wanted to get a few in order here, and then some other ones will get released, and I may go in and cut in a little intro and just kind of speak on that, like, hey, this one I recorded previously, but I'm releasing it now just to get it out there because I want you guys to know me. But I was talking about principles, right? And so the principles that we live by. And I wanted to get into my journal here, probably, maybe not today, but coming up, I wanted to connect values with principles and some stuff like that. So while we're talking about that, might as well get into a definition, right? I like to find definitions and write them down. And so let's look up a definition really quick. Go to the old Googler and let's look up principles. Definition. Principle. A fundamental truth or proposition that serves as the foundation for a system of belief or behavior or for a chain of reasoning. A general scientific theorem or law that has numerous special applications across a wide field. Moral correct behavior and attitudes. Morally correct behavior and attitudes. Ooh, those are good. A fundamental truth or proposition that serves as the foundation for a system of belief. Morally correct behavior and attitudes. That's powerful. That's really powerful. So, how can we put this together? I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this right here with you. I'm going to put it in my brain and I'm going to put this together. And so I put together my values, right? And my values become my principles, right? So if I really want to perhaps put this together like this, let's say, so personal responsibility would be the principle to live by. And how do we put together that principle? With the values that build it, right? So personal responsibility is the principle, and the values that build that are discipline, honesty, integrity, awareness, spirituality. So, am I living these values? And if I'm living these values, am I living up to my principle of personal responsibility? There we go. Something like that, right? Foundation for a system of belief. My system of belief is personal responsibility. And what is the foundation of personal responsibility? What are the fundamental truths? Those would be my values. That's kind of how I would put it together. In my head, that's how I'm going to go with it. It feels right. Let's look up morals. I'm going to write down too as we're going. I'm going to take some notes here. Principle. Morals. Well, it's moral. Moral. Concerned with the principles of right and wrong behavior and the goodness or badness of human character. So it says principles there. And as we go and as you go, you will find, I've found that a lot of these words, they all connect, right? When you're looking up definitions, principles and moral, they go together. Okay. Concerned with or derived from the code of interpersonal behavior that is considered right or acceptable in a particular society. Examining the nature of ethics and the foundation of good and bad character and conduct. Woo! Ethics. I'm going to put ethics/ethical. We got some homework, y'all. Monday. Moral. Ethical. Let's look up ethical. Relating to moral principles. There we go. See, connected. Moral principles. Relating to moral principles or the branch of knowledge dealing with these. Morally good or correct. Avoiding activities or organizations that do harm to people or the environment. Interesting. Relating to moral principles. So we just connected all of them, right? Principles, morals equals ethics. Woo! Ethical. Wow. Behavioral. So, when you Google it, the fun thing about Google is it says similar and it gives you other places to go, right? It says moral, social, behavioral, right-minded, right thinking, principled. Let's click on principled. Of a person or their behavior, acting in accordance with morality and showing recognition of right and wrong. Principled. Right and wrong. Acting in accordance with morality and showing recognition of right and wrong. Good, virtuous, righteous, upright, upstanding, moral, ethical, good, virtuous. Ooh, I like that word. Virtuous. I'm going to write that down. And think about that for a second. Let's think on that for a second. Are you a good person? Are you a moral person? Are you ethical? Are you virtuous? Do you believe that you are? What actions do you take that are virtuous, that are good, that are moral, that are ethical, that are principled? What actions do you take? Do you project that on yourself? Do you try to live up to that? And by doing so, are you being right or wrong? Because sometimes we project these things on ourselves and we think we're doing the right thing, but maybe we're not. And it really takes a deep dive. Into the abyss we go. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I'm not always living up to my values. Sometimes I'm a monster, especially when I don't get what I want. Oh my God. That reminds me of another quote from Brene Brown from her new book. I gotta find that so I can put that in the notes here. I can be really scary when I'm scared if I'm not paying attention. Wow. I know that to be true for me. I can be a real prick sometimes when I'm scared and the ego kicks in and I go into survival mode and I'm hurt. If you hurt me, then I want to hurt you back because I'm in pain and you shouldn't have done that. And I go into this victim mode and I want to fight. I want to fight for what I think is right. And I think I'm virtuous and I think you wronged me. That's kind of a victim mentality, isn't it? You wronged me, so I'm going to wrong you back. And now we're exiting the building. Exit stage left. You just left all your principles and your morality and your ethics behind. I did. And that's hard. That's a hard place to look at. That's a hard thing to look at the darkness inside of you, right? And to recognize that. Oh, man. How many times have you been in a relationship with somebody and you feel they did you wrong? Maybe they did do you wrong. And then you reacted very poorly. I know I have. I have just recently. To be quite honest with you, I recently went through a breakup. We broke up. We were apart for a while. Things got kind of bad. We decided to give it another shot, give it another go after separation for several months. And very quickly, it went back to the same pattern again. And I found myself doing better, for sure. I learned a lot. But I found myself fucking being a dick again. Being a little bit of a bully. Not living up to my values and my principles. And looking in the mirror and looking at yourself and you feel ashamed of yourself. That's dark. That's a dark place to look. It's a scary place to look. That's why that's why we're looking into the abyss here. The Berg and the Abyss. Because I'm going to look in that dark place and I'm going to find some answers. I'm going to find some reasons. I'm going to go to my therapist. Yes, I see a therapist. If you're not seeing a therapist, I think you should. I think we all could benefit from speaking to somebody and getting vulnerable with them and figuring out what it is that makes us do the things we do. That's part of journaling. That's part of growth. That's part of being human. We make mistakes. But why do we make these mistakes over and over again? If you find yourself making mistakes over and over again, there is something inside of you. There's a reason for that. And going to a therapist can help you figure that out and work those things out. And it doesn't happen overnight. It takes months. It can take years to figure these things out. Some of us, it may not take as long. Some of us may have a more of a capacity to be honest with ourselves, or to get honest with another person, and that takes courage. It takes a lot of courage to stand up and say, hey, I need help. That takes a lot of courage. I'm an alcoholic. And I've been to AA and I still participate in AA. And not regularly, but I do go to AA. Step 1 is AA. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol and that our lives had become unmanageable. Now, one of the great things that I've found about AA is you can replace that word alcohol with anything you want. I have become powerless over my emotions and my life has become unmanageable. And that happens when you're in a relationship and you're hurt and your survival mode kicks in and the ego takes over. I am powerless over my ego and my life has become unmanageable because of your past traumas. Because let's face it, our parents fucked us up. And through no fault of their own, because they're human and they make mistakes too. They were traumatized when they were kids. We all have our flaws. We're human and we're flawed, right? And that's not being a victim, but that's becoming aware of why I do the things I do, right? And I want to break these cycles, I want to do my best to break these cycles so that I can teach my daughter and help my daughter to be a productive, effective, functioning human being. That's important. That's really important. Think about all the things that are happening in the world. Man, the world feels very unhealthy right now. And that's a difficult thing to look at, Everyone's running around, not everyone, but I think a lot of people are running around not looking into their own abyss and just running on autopilot, thinking they're a good person, living up to these projections that they have of perfection and goodness, and without taking the time to stop and look in the mirror and go, oh shit, am I really being good? Am I really being moral, ethical, principled? Do I even know what my values are? What my principles are? Think about it. Take a moment right now and think about what you're doing, how you act. What is the projection of a good person that you strive to live up to? Do you know what that is? Do you know what that's built off of? Is it your projection? Is it your mom's projection? Is it your dad's projection? Are you trying to live up to what your mom wanted you to be? What your father wanted you to be? What society wants you to be? Or have you figured out who you want to be for yourself? Some good questions. Y'all got some homework. I know I got lots of homework. I'm always doing homework. That's what this journal is. It's homework. Did you enjoy homework when you were in school? I wasn't the best at homework. But here, think about that. Here I find myself actually having to do homework by myself, by choosing it. I choose to do these things. I made a choice. Hey, alcohol is a weakness. I identified it and I'm going to do something about it. I made a choice. I'm going to put down the drink. And you know what? I need help. I'm going to go to AA because I know that AA helps people. And we'll get into that. That's another story. I'll dive into AA with you. I'll dive into that. We'll get into that as I speak on that. We'll dive into AA. So, what are the questions we're going to ask today? What's your homework? Okay? Are you journaling? Did you get yourself a journal? What did you write down in that journal? Okay? Well, let's get a journal. Are you seeing a therapist? Are you admitting that you could use some help? Are you powerless? Who do you want to be? How do you get there? Think on those things. And we'll catch up soon. Love you guys. Peace.
You know what time it
Time to
is.
stand up and speak your mind. In this elitist jungle, keep the beats alive. Whether yoga or doja that keeps you high. Gotta stay up, cause on the street you die. Time to wake up and see the light. Stop counting sheep, seize your life. Free your eyes and see suns rise on the horizon, where the street meets the sky.
The masses' ignorance feeds our masters' greed.